Good morning and welcome to Dreadful Discussions. My name is Joel. I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm your co-host Caleb, and today we have with us author of Hush My Darling, the book that we're covering today for our book club, Leigh Kinney. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, you're very welcome.
All right. So right off the bat, the first thing that I was thinking of when reading this book was uh, several like true crime stories came to mind. Um, every it's very weird, and maybe this is a very American thing. We know you're from Ireland, but it seems like every few years in America, where we're apparently lunatics, some story comes out about somebody being locked in somebody's basement for decades on end. So there were so many stories that came to mind like that as I was reading Hush My Darling. What was there any particular story that was some inspiration for this one?
Well, not actually somebody being kept in a basement. We don't really have many of those kinds of things, but the area where obviously it's set in the area I live, like where I'm sitting right now at my kitchen table, when I look through the back door, I can see the Wicklow Mountains. That's where it takes place. And the media have dubbed it the Vanishing Triangle because in like the 70s, 80s, early 90s, a lot of women went missing in a certain area of the Wicklow Mountains. Some were found, some weren't. Some were murdered, some weren't.
Right.
Like it's one of those things where there was so much speculation, it made it a bigger thing than it probably was. Like I don't think we have had a serial killer running around her, and I think it was just a lot of very unfortunate incidents that happened to take place in a small area.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always like we used to drive through the mountains to get to my aunt's house, and like it's so heavily wooded. And my ma used to always be like, "Oh, I wonder how many bodies are buried in those woods," And I think it stuck with me. So when I was writing it was that idea. I started originally with wanting to use that whole vanishing triangle thing, but then I was looking into the cases, and it kind of became a thing where I wanted to tread a little more delicately because so many of them are still unsolved.
Yeah.
There's that thing too, because Ireland is such a small country. I was like, what happens if I go to the shop someday and some person is like, "Hey, you were out about my daughter, mother, and whoever," and I was like, I'm not ready for that kind of controversy.
Right.
So it ended up with more of a question of, well, where are the missing ones? Where could they? Granted, some of them could be buried in the woods, like my ma says. But it was like, what if, there was that one family who've just been operating in that area? What if, some of them women are still alive? It was all those what ifs kind of led, and I pants, I don't plot. So I
Right.
just kept what if in the whole way through the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So in vein of that, let me just say up top that our video series, our podcast, any way that you're consuming this, it will be spoiler filled. So encourage anybody watching this that is not already. Why haven't you? It's an excellent book. Go read Hush My Darling right now, and then come revisit us as we talk through all of the details. And if there's ever been a book to not be spoiled that we're covering on this show, this is one because man,
Absolutely.
oh man, the last third of this book really
It even
threw.
surprised me.
You gotta love that when you're writing it and the story just
Absolutely.
goes completely left field for you, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. The really exhilarating feeling.
To kind of jump off that, I absolutely loved Megan's character. I thought that the character arc was really unique. Definitely did not see where she went in the end. Uh, didn't see where it went coming. Um, You said that you were more of a pantser. Did you kind of have her fledged out from the beginning, or was she just you got to know her as you were writing and followed her along?
Yeah, from the outset, like going into a story, I always think I know. It's hard not to kind of say, right, this is the story. This is probably what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And from the outset, Megan was supposed to die. That was kind of my thing. I was like, you have to kill your darlings.
Right.
That's horror.
Yeah.
People have to die. But as I was writing, and I suppose as I was getting more involved with the characters, I think I kind of realized that sometimes things can be even more horrific when they don't die. You
Right.
know, I mean,
Yeah,
you could die and that's it, then your troubles are over. Like, it's a
yeah,
little more horrific to be a prisoner, to, have all these horrible things continuously happen to you, to just everything that happened to her was probably, death probably would have been nicer, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But it's just one of those things, like you say, you kind of get to know them as you write them. And Megan, for me, I love Megan. I feel I'm always very, like, even with my other book, I always still feel very strongly about Curtis. It's like this, they become, I suppose there's little parts of me in them. So I kind of absorb them. They're like my little twinnies that never got born, those like masses that stay with you for
Right.
to be nice about it. But yeah, with Megan, there was probably a good deal of me in there as well. Like, there's so much horror out there where there's the whole final girl thing, and it seems to be that they fall into certain boxes where you have either your final girl who is a constant upward arc, from the get-go. She makes all the correct decisions, and the only things that go wrong, they're things that are out of her hands, but she makes the right decisions. And then there's the opposite side of that coin, where you get the ones who just haven't got a clue, and they just stumble blindly into danger after danger. And I don't think either of those things, of course, they can all happen. There
Right.
are women out there who are extremely smart and make all the right decisions. And likewise, there are women out there, people who make the wrong decisions. But then what about the ones in the middle who they make some pretty stupid decisions, but they make them for reasons that, like, on the face of it, it's an innocuous, you know what I mean? It's a decision we all make. Like, hey, that man, woman, that, they're attractive. You don't know that person's history. You don't know anything about them. It's like, do I trust this person on the road? Do I trust that person? You know what I mean? This person, they're presenting themselves to me in a way that makes me uncomfortable, but this person maybe less so, and it's these
Mhm.
little decisions we make throughout life that, like, they turn on a dime and things can change. How many women have, and again, I keep saying women, nothing against men, it's more just that the focus on this specifically was more because me as a woman, I kind of treat it as myself. Like, when I was a teenager, I made stupid decisions. I stuck my thumb out and took lifts from people. I could have ended up in a basement, but I didn't. But again, I did make stupid decisions. Many a time I went, oh, he's pretty, and you make stupid decisions for these things. I've had people who didn't like it. I've had
Mm.
people who've said, people don't make decisions like that, but they do.
Mhm.
I,
And
I
I think maybe the people who get a little upset by that have maybe made some silly decisions themselves and they just haven't come to terms with that.
Absolutely.
I actually literally have a friend. My wife and I have a friend that studied abroad in Ireland that literally just met a guy in Ireland, like on a whim. I think through maybe like a dating app, and like that. There's a million ways that that could go horribly wrong. I mean,
This is the
they're
thing, like,
married
and the
and
thing
have
with like Irish people in general, not just men, but Irish women and men, like, we're very charming, you know what I mean? We're very friendly. We'll just go up to strangers.
yeah.
Anytime I go out, like, outside, it doesn't necessarily need to be in my town. Like, I travel for book events, so I do be in the UK, I've been in America. And like, if I'm out, if we're in bars or anything like that, like, I just talk to everybody. It's like, where's Leigh? Oh, she's out in the smoking area. I've quit smoking a year ago, but I'll still go to a smoking area because it's a great place to get chatting to people, just to
Absolutely.
chat to people, because I just don't know how to shut up.
Yeah.
But we all talk a lot, and we're friendly and we're charming, and we know the right things to say to people.
Yeah.
So if we have nefarious intentions, like, people are screwed.
I thought that that was actually like making Megan, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's American in the story, right?
Yes, yes, she is.
Making her an
And that's the
American,
thing, exactly.
yeah,
It's that she's
ex-
in a land, it's not like she can, and to be fair, from country to country, I mean, even in Ireland, from county to county, like, people will, they'll present differently, I suppose.
mhm,
People will be offended by different things. It's, you know what I mean? It's the psychology of where we're from. So coming to a whole new country where there's a different accent, you're
yeah,
completely, the locations are alien to you. You don't know anybody. I mean, the whole thing with the map, like, who
yeah.
can read a map? I can't.
Me neither. I think that it's actually a brilliant choice to make her American because in America, like we romanticize the Irish quite a bit, and like
Yes, you do.
we fall fall victim in this case, but are like, when there's not nefarious intentions there, really are brought in by that charm because it's decidedly un-American and very nice change of pace.
Yeah, like the Irish are kind of, it's one of those things, is the first thing people think of with the Irish is that friendliness, you know, like even with sport, you'll see when there's things like the World Cup or the rugby or anything like that, when there's loads of nations going to a particular city. And you'll see a lot, like nothing against the Brits. I love my British friends, but you'll see a lot of like stuff online about the British going in and like they'll wreck the place, you know. And then the Irish are there the next day cleaning, helping the locals clean up. And all
Oh.
people love to see the Irish coming because like we love to have fun. We don't get offended, you know. Granted, there are arseholes in every, you know what I mean? We have those, but for the most part, when we go somewhere, we go to have the crack and enjoy ourselves, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So people are like, oh, the Irish are just, they're the best, you know? So of course, when they come here, they're like, they're friendly. They're not gonna harm me.
Yeah.
Little do they know, we all keep people in our basements. I actually don't have a basement. Very few of us do.
So you had already mentioned that you had initially saw Megan dying by the end of the story. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Even with that, here's a big spoiler. Did you always intend for her to be, uh, you know, I mean, obviously raped, but like impregnated by her captors as well?
No, I think originally I thought like the rape was always going to happen. It was kind of, and like I tried to treat it as delicately as I could. So like, there's not a huge amount of detail. It's
Yeah.
more off page, but I tried to also put people, readers in the mind of like, you know, it's the little details I think sometimes like
Yeah.
the light bulb overhead swing and things like that that makes you
Mm.
more inclined to put yourself in the shoes of a character. So that was always going to happen. But as far as like having kids and stuff like that, becoming impregnated, no, that kind of just, it's one of those, as I wrote her character and
Yeah.
as I could see the story unfolding, it felt like the right direction to go. It kind of increased the stakes for me, and it kind of, I was, as I was trying to figure out how was this going to come to an end, it was that thing of, oh, you know, when children are involved, even when it comes to an end, the end might not be the end, and the end might not be the end, a
Sure.
happy ending for everybody, you know?
Yeah. It's like tempting to call it Stockholm syndrome, but it's not even that really. It's like
Yeah, it's more of
you
a
have
drive to
more.
protect. You see,
Yeah,
this is it. She ended up with, it wasn't just herself she had to protect. It's very,
exactly.
well, it's not. I was going to say it's very easy. That's wrong. But it's easier to, if it's just yourself in a situation, to, I suppose, that mental separation and compartmentalization of it. But when you have children,
Yeah.
it just becomes so much more difficult to keep them safe. And like safety is not just a physical thing. It's, you know what I mean? It's a mental thing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. As dark as it is, like from like a writer to a writer, it's a brilliant choice to up the emotional stakes.
Oh yeah, it really
I
adds
think
that threat
that
in there.
is an excellent choice writing wise. Yeah, like I said, the last third of this book really blew my mind, honestly. Just
Same
really
here.
took me for a spin.
I have to ask, actually, just speaking of spoilers, which version did you read?
Whatever is most recently on Kindle
There's
Unlimited
Yeah,
is what I
there's the
read.
standard, yeah, there's the standard Hush My Darling, but then on the audio version and on that the limited edition Twisted Retreat version, there's an additional novelette at the end. Now it will be released wide soon-ish, but it actually, it's a little sequel.
Oh,
It carries
really?
on, so I'm gonna have to be careful now, really careful.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it carries on after the events of Hush. We do
Kind of.
see some characters from the original story again, not all, but some.
Is it like taking up like the tact of like, the note that she leaves behind in the women's
Kind of,
chapter? Kind
kind
of.
of. I'm not going
Okay.
to tell you anything because I don't want to give anything away.
All right, you
Because
It's
got me.
really good,
going
worth a
into it,
read.
you don't actually know who you're going to see again.
Uh, Joel, you've read this
Yep,
the
I read
extended.
the
Oh my
novelette.
gosh, I'm
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
dark
you
here.
read the novelette?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
loved that edition. I thought it was really,
For
really
me, to
fun.
be honest, it was a more satisfying. I think that's why I wrote it
Hmm.
because when I wrote Hush, it's probably not the done thing as an author to say, but I wasn't satisfied with the ending.
Sure.
I wrote it and then it wouldn't leave me. It stayed with me because I felt like it wasn't done. And then I started writing the novelette because in my brain I was like, oh, hang on, well, like, what about this? So I followed that thread. I wrote the novelette, and now I'm ready to write like more.
Yeah,
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah, I thought it
Um,
definitely put a bow on the whole story,
Yeah, it
which,
was for
yeah,
me as well. It was just so much more satisfying to
well,
end on that note than the original note.
now
sure.
you got me hooked. I'm gonna have to
Now you're gonna have to
find
find
this
it. Do you know
edition.
what? Actually, especially for you, I'll send it to you.
Oh, thank you. That I would appreciate that. Um, so another thing that again just completely threw me for a loop, did not see coming was the kind of bisected timelines. The
Lauren.
yeah, Lauren I thought it was just, whoever was down in the basement while Megan was there.
That
And
was
to
a
find,
surprise for me too.
yeah. So were
Yeah.
you actually writing those two timelines simultaneously, or did you come back and add the
The very first thing I ever wrote for Hush was the very first, the prologue, essentially Lauren's first interlude
okay.
was the very first thing I wrote. And that was kind of the genesis of the story that I was like, this is what I want to write, but I'm not sure what to do with it. And I was like, this isn't the character that I need to, this isn't going to be the main character in the story.
Hmm.
And I kind of pieced it together that way. But that was probably, it was before I knew Megan was not going to die. I had figured out in my head, I think, who Lauren was going to be. I know we're not doing spoilers or anything, so it's fine here. But anyone watching this point, you know,
This is the biggest
they
spoiler.
will have
So
read. Yeah, I can't even bring myself to say it out loud. I don't usually do this. Okay, deep breath. If you haven't read the book, don't listen. But the whole thing with Lauren and Ma being the same person, whew, that was difficult.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't believe I said it out loud. But yeah, I kind of did know that that was the direction it was going, but yet I still let the story kind of. I had to be aware of it to a degree, so as not to, I suppose, give anything away. And I had to keep going back and forth and checking. Like every now and again, I'd write a new interlude for Lauren and slot it in where it needed to go in the story. And then I had to keep kind of reading. That was the hardest part for me because I am ADHD, so it's difficult to follow threads.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've mentioned this here. Have I brought that up yet? No, wait, I have to, it got real confusing. I was like one of those conspiracy theorists with all the strings and stuff. Only the strings were in my head because literally the only research or anything that I have, I've got like 4 sheets in an A4 pad that I have character names and a couple of things scribbled down. And I have a page with the chapter titles. And other than that, that's all I have.
It holds together very, very well. I
mhm.
got it to
Good.
say it seems like a difficult thread to
Yeah, honestly, I'm still not sure how I managed to do it. I'm still waiting for the day that somebody says to me, no, you messed up.
no,
I don't
it
think
works
so.
very, very well. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
So all of your female characters could be described as strong. Um, what does the term strong female character mean to you?
Um, I suppose it means overcoming. Like even in a situation where some of them, like take Lauren slash Ma for instance, like I would consider her a strong character.
Hmm.
Um, some people have loved her, some people have hated her, and the fact that no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, she was doing what she needed to do to protect herself, and in some instances to protect her own children too. So her and Megan were not all that different from each other. The difference being Megan had an opportunity to get away. Um, I think strength takes a lot of forms. And for women especially, like that is, it's one thing I think I wrote it in my author about it in my author notes, is a lot of people tend to, women especially tend to kind of say, well, like, you're a female author, you should, why aren't you writing stronger characters, female characters, like why are you letting these things happen? I recently had a review where somebody said I should be in jail for writing violence against women,
Jeez.
and I'm like,
Wow.
so it's okay for men to do it, but if I do it, sure, but I think it's showing that we can make stupid decisions, and we can make bad decisions, and we can make decisions that may seem tiny, and yet the ripples that come from that, the effects of it may be huge.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's the fact that we will continue to overcome it. Because at the end of the day, historically, everywhere, like, you know what I mean, women have had a hard time of it. Like here in Ireland, we like there was actually a program on recently about it was called Housewife of the Year Award. It was in the 80s. Like I was born in the 80s. Like when women got married, they had to give up their job. It was, little things like that.
Yeah.
And I think we're all very strong. I think, we go through life, we face stuff, we face misogyny like more regularly than you'd want to. But we just keep it on. I think that's the thing. Even in a situation in a book where maybe a character doesn't get the ending they want, once they, stay true to themselves, once they don't lose too much of themselves in the process, whether they die or otherwise, I think that they can still be a strong character.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was a line in your author notes. I won't get it word for word, but it said something along the lines of, yeah, just because we're victims doesn't mean that we can't be heroic at the same time. And I was like, that's 100% true. And some of the most heroic stories that I ever have read or like even like seen in the news start out with somebody being victimized
Yeah, yeah,
over
it's what
time.
you do, I suppose, and like, so saying that at the same time, I know there are people out there who have been victims of all kinds of things that maybe they never go on to do anything that would be, on the face of it considered heroic. But sometimes I think just carrying on is, you know what I mean, is
Yeah.
heroic enough.
So yeah, sometimes just living day to day is an act of heroism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, that took a very dark turn.
It's a very dark book.
Yeah, it is.
Um, what does it take, I guess, to get your mind to go there? I mean, you talked about the origin of the story kind of being like childhood, your parents driving you through, or your family driving you through the mountains and speculating on how many bodies there might be out there. What does it take to get you into that like darker mindset to actually put something that bleak down on the page?
I would say that again, like, because of my ADHD and the way my mind works, I am able to flip. So it's kind of lucky that way that I can get into that the darkness, and I can kind of like envelop myself in it while I'm writing it,
Yeah.
and then I can just step away from it. It's almost like pulling a skin over yourself, and then you go and you write your story, and you're in there with the characters, and then I just, like a sleeping bag, I just zip it down and pull it off, and I'm like, it's
That's
me
a
again. And then I'll, get back to the laptop, I'll pull my cover back over myself, and I'll be, very solemn while I go about my business. Then again, there are times when I write where I'll inject like it could be stupid humor, like I can't think of anything but stupid one-liners and things, and like I'll sit and I'll have a little chuckle to myself about that. Sometimes I think I'm like the funniest person in the world with these things, but these are the things you need to do. And I think sometimes when you add the slightest bit of humor into the fairly dark subject matter,
yeah.
it almost makes it worse because it makes people kind of go, ha ha, this is, it's light relief. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. It gives them that kind of levity, I suppose, but it almost makes the darkness hit a little bit harder then when they realize that actually, no, they weren't being taken away from it, that,
Yeah.
it was just making them feel safe for a
Yeah.
moment. Maybe that's
Absolutely.
how I get through it.
Yeah, I think that's true to life too. I definitely had some like darker moments where like I try to make a joke and maybe I'm the only person that's looking for a bit of levity.
Yeah, I'd be one of those as well. You need that kind of dark humor to get through things sometimes. I'm the kind
Yeah.
of person that laughs at funerals about things.
Mhm.
Mm, absolutely.
My family don't approve.
Um, the one other character that I wanted to touch on was the I can't remember his name, but the man in the yellow trench coat from the
Uh,
beginning.
I always get confused as well because there's so many. You'd think I'd remember straight off the bat because I wrote it, but Liam O'Keefe.
Liam. Yeah.
Yes.
Are we gonna, is there a novelette in the works for kind of
I
his
think
backstory
I
or?
think he deserves a backstory. This
Hmm.
is the thing because obviously the novelette Quietly Through the Trees came about. That's the one I'll send you, Caleb.
Okay.
That came about because I wasn't satisfied with the ending for Hush. And because I was thinking about that so much, it kind of led me to think about other characters. And I was like, that's how I think I'm going to do it. I plan maybe next year to release like a little collection. So that it'll
Okay.
be a mixture of like novelette, novella, short story, whatever it kind of requires. I'd like to go into Liam's backstory because I do have a backstory in my head for him. I mean, like he was a neighbor to them
Right.
for long enough. He mentioned about his family, his father. Ahead his father telling him, we do our thing, we let them do their thing. So it implied that there was knowledge there, I
Yeah.
suppose. Um, I think Lauren deserves a backstory. Because we know that she kind of went from the frying pan to the fire,
Hmm.
like she was trying to leave a kind of a shitty situation, and she was only very young as well, without that support. She really ended up in a worse situation. So I'll probably give her some attention too. But Liam definitely has, because people are a little confused about Liam as well. Some people aren't sure whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, so I
Right.
probably should tie that up.
Yeah.
I haven't decided myself whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. So
And that
Yeah.
character is actually it really is fascinating. It kind of brings to mind like the saying or uh whatever the phrase like for evil to succeed, good people need
yes,
to remain
exactly that.
silent.
Yeah,
And
the only
like
thing you need to do is to do nothing. I think
yeah,
it was Einstein, wasn't it? It
pardon,
was.
say again.
I think it was an Einstein quote. I literally only shared that a few days ago on Facebook. Weird.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
maybe I saw it and just
Oh,
subconsciously.
maybe.
I'll look very, very smart if I bring this up during our recording. um, yeah, just like the reveal that they like during the Lauren chapter where she's escaping, and he's just like, "Oh no, I gave you your
Daddy
chance."
says no.
It was like one of the darkest things ever.
Yeah.
He just like walks away. He's like, "Nope,
I'm out.
you had your shot." It's like, oh shit, that is
Yeah. Not only
cold
that, but the
blooded.
fact that he was able to stand there and watch her.
Yeah, yeah. It really like gives some mixed feelings when you finally get to his fate of like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I should feel about this. On the one hand, he really like beefed it when he had a chance to do something good. But he's
You have
also
to wonder though, is that the catalyst for him? Was he always just minding his own business until that moment with Lauren? Did that stay with him?
that's a good point. Yeah.
And I didn't know he was going to get his face blown off until it happened. Kind of was just one of those. I didn't really know where I was like, well, is he going to help her escape? And actually, then it'll turn out that maybe he's assisting them. Is it going to, I had all these different ideas in my head, and then I was like, no,
Yeah. Having that happen like during like a huge thunderstorm too is like so like cinematic. It was
Hmm.
really, really entertaining, but
Beautiful
You see,
scene.
this is the thing. When I write, I'm very visual. So when I write, it's playing out in my head like a film. Now, I only found out recently, I had this discussion with my partner, and he was saying like he doesn't see pictures in his head. He just he doesn't know what he sees. Because I was like, oh, do you see words? And he was like, no, I know things. But I was like, it plays out for me like when I'm writing or even when I'm reading. But when I'm writing a story, the whole thing, like I can visualize it. I wish I was good at drawing because I'd make some great illustrations. The detail is there and I kind of just follow it. So like that, like in that scene, it was that thing where in my mind it was like thunder and lightning, and it was that kind of cinematic, coupled with the gunshot sounds and the
Yeah.
spray of rain against the window and the spray of like bits of his face, and it
Yeah.
all worked really well together.
It's very effective, definitely. Looks like we are running low on time here.
We are. This has been a lot of fun this morning,
But
or
yeah,
this
we
afternoon for you, Lee.
um also we before we close out, is there anything in particular other than Hush My Darling you'd like to plug and get people's eyes on?
Everything.
Everything.
I should have so many things out at the minute, but I don't because I struggle to juggle all the stuff. So I have Cursed, I have Hush, and I have a multitude of stories and anthologies. If people look on my Goodreads or wherever, they'll find everything of mine. And if they keep an eye on my Facebook page, because that's probably where I am the most,
Yeah.
I always talk about stuff I'm going to release. The only problem is I might say I'm going to release something. You could be waiting years because I'm so slow.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you got this far and you haven't read it, you still should go read it. It's very well written. Hush My Darling by
It's completely spoiled. If you haven't read it, you made it this far. You may as well not even bother. Like,
we thank you for joining us for Dreadful Discussions. And on our next recording, we will be discussing Viggy Parhampton's The Rotting Room, which is also a very excellent book. Everyone should go check that out. But thank you again for joining us, Leigh.
Thank you,
thank you
guys.
very much for having me.
I'll talk to y'all later.